Hi, everyone. No one's talking, so I will.
Hey. No,
I was like
okay.
waiting.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, who's saying hi
Hello,
first?
hello. Hey. Oh, oh, that's me with the
Hi.
echo. Okay, there we go.
Uh-oh.
That was me with the echo. Sorry, guys. I'm supposed to be the pro, right? Like, whoops. Well,
Never
anyway,
call yourself a pro
I
like
think you're just so
that.
flustered because you got Janae next to you.
I think so too. Welcome, Janae. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us on our new adventure here, where we're going to ruin the movie. And I need to explain the title a little bit first. When it says Claire ruins viewing, it means we're going to talk about the plot, we're going to talk about the ending. If you haven't seen the movie, oh well, tough luck. It's ruined for you because we're going in, we're talking about it all. We're going to cover every part of it that we can. And that's what I mean by ruin it. Like, we're just laying it all out there. So, like, I'm not going to play that. Oh, let's just, like, don't ruin the ending for anybody. Like, tough cookies. Like, the movie, you know,
You have
it,
plenty of time to
Too
watch
bad,
it.
so sad.
yep. Yes, exactly. We're going to ruin it for you. We're going to ruin it because we're going to talk about it. Yeah, that's it. That's it, Mousy. Spoilers. Yep. Yep. Is it still
Oh, and our
echoing?
groper is in the chat. Our groper is
Yep.
in the chat. Everyone, line up for your gropes.
Yep. Definitely. So, welcome everybody who's here for this. Just to start, you can't get up on the coast on a makeshift. But I hear you, Sleet. Okay, let's go in. So, let's just bring it up, okay, and just let's just go for it, ladies. I mean, let's just get this done. Tonight's movie was the Peanut Butter Falcon that was recommended to our friend Juju, our B friend. She's not in the chat, but maybe she'll be by later. Oh, she was recommended to watch this movie, and she started talking about it, and the title kind of enticed me a little bit. I'm like, what? The peanut butter like what? And then I'm like, okay, it's got to be a feel good movie, right?
Well,
It's just,
can I just tell you my first impression, the peanut butter fact? I honestly thought it was going to be a bird that ate peanut butter.
oh, true.
That was seriously, that was my first thought. Okay, you can go on now. But that was,
Well, I will tell you, like, because it was recommended by Juju, I kind of figured it would have something to do with nature or some kind of feel good kind of thing. Like, that somebody was telling her to watch it. Like, it must have had a lot of animals in it or not. And, well, first ruin it for you. There's not a lot of animals in it. Nope. Nope. There's no, nope. Nope.
I think there's
Yep.
only
did we,
one.
was there a dog? That
Yeah,
was
I
it,
think that
wasn't
was
there?
the only
There's
one.
a dog. There's a dog. Yeah. There's a couple of people who act like animals, but there's no real animals in the movie. Okay, so
And
let
there
me
is
just
no falcon. So,
there,
there's a
well,
big
there's a
ruiner for you.
there's a there's
Well,
there's something falcon-esque.
ish.
It's not
Yeah, falcon-esque.
falcon-ish.
That I'll give you.
Yeah. So
Bird-like.
bird-like, exactly. So basically, for those of you that are not familiar, let me ruin it and just tell you about the movie. The movie's called The Peanut Butter Falcon. It came out in 2019. It's advertised as a heartwarming adventure film about friendship, acceptance, and pursuing one's dreams. It was directed by Tyler Nilson and Michael Schwartz. In the story follows. Okay, the story follows the main character, whose name is Zack. And Zack, let me just move this over. Zack, we'll just pull that up. Zack is played by Zack Gottsagen. Okay, and then Zack is a young man who has Down syndrome. And in this film, he escapes from a care facility to chase his dream of becoming a professional wrestler, inspired by his wrestling idol, the saltwater redneck. Yep, yep, that's it. The saltwater redneck. Okay. And Zach sets out on a journey to attend a wrestling school run by the same saltwater redneck. Well, he meets along the way Tyler, who's played by Shia LaBeouf. I know, Mrs. Cassandra, calm down, calm down. Okay, because Tyler, in my opinion, exquisitely plays a troubled fisherman on the run after committing some petty crimes and reluctantly, and I say reluctantly with a capital R in a big Y in, he teams up with Zack. Despite initial hesitations, their bond grows as Tyler becomes a mentor and a protector for said Zack. Along comes Eleanor, played by Dakota Johnson. There's nothing shady about this performance. Okay. Zach's kind caregiver giver from the place he escapes from, which we'll go into detail in a little bit. And she is tasked with bringing him back. But, spoiler alert, she eventually, of course, gives into all the charms of freedom and joins this nefarious little duo here and supports their journey. The film unfolds as a touching kind of, would you say Mark Twain inspired, guys? Like, read Mark Twain? Yeah.
Going down the river.
Yes, rolling down the river, okay, with Zach and Tyler, navigating rivers and obstacles and dealing with personal struggles, and like the fade out scenes and the fade in scenes and stuff.
And the crazies chasing after them the whole time and just that step behind and
then that ending.
And the ending, when we get to the ending. But let's start at the beginning, okay? Who wants to talk? Okay, since it's your favorite part there, I thought it was
the start was great. I thought this is just hilarious. The oldies were just, let's do anything to support this kid getting out of here. It is such a laugh. It is the best laugh.
We need to explain that. When she says the oldies, she means because Zach, unfortunately, this young man, you can see like from the picture, he's only like in his early 20s, if anything, okay, was in an old folks home, a retirement home. Because there was his family had abandoned him and there was no place to place him. So this young man had to live playing bingo and watching TV with nothing else, with nothing but older grandparent type people around him. And this one social worker, I guess, caregiver, Eleanor,
she was a nurse in
there. Yeah, she was she kind of understood the situation and she knew he can't live on his own. Obviously, the state placed him there because there was no way he could live on his own. And apparently there, they don't have what they have here in my state. We have halfway houses in homes and we have special placement with foster families for young adults in this situation. But unfortunately, sometimes those placements please, anybody else interject if you'd like, if you have experience in your states, they are often placed with older couples anyway, who are looking for help around the house. It is not exactly the best situation for someone, but it is a better life than being in a nursing home. At least I think so anyway. And apparently, right, maybe
and
Jack
it just goes to show, I was going to say, it just goes to show that these people are actually it's not, sometimes it's almost abuse, It's like, oh great, we can foster this, he's mentally challenged with Down syndrome and he's very trusting of everybody he meets. So we put him in with a family who just uses him as a maid and as go out and do this work. All you have to do is shovel, dig graves for a living, point him out. And he could be exploited so badly, is that a better life for him than being in with the oldies and keep trying to escape?
Honestly, I would rather be with the oldies, personally, because old people are awesome.
Well, they were kind of like, some of them were fun and some of them were boring. But I think the next thing up might be the favorite scene. You'll forgive me. I don't
Yes.
know if it's the picture first or the scene. Well, let's
Tell
try
Right,
it.
you
he's in his paddy
Yes,
waddy
I'm
for a
just
good part
there
of
we
the
go.
movie.
Yes, and
Well,
there we
with
go.
this, I'm wondering why they didn't, the old dude didn't just throw some clothes out after him and say, "Here you go,
Right?
go."
You would think
That was sort of my one thing. It's like, okay, you've slipped him up, thrown him out the window.
he
How
just
about you
went
just
back to
chuck
bed.
some clothes out? Yeah, well, exactly. It's like, oh, good on
It's
you,
like,
mate.
all right,
But I
I helped you.
also
I'm going
love
to
the
bed.
fact, right at the start with the old lady, he just sort of passes the piece of paper to her and says, pretend you're choking so that I can try and piss off, and it's just that whole, all the oldies just, oh yeah, we'll help him out, got nothing better to do. But yeah, the point of him slipping out with the baby oil and then not getting any fucking clothes. That was just
That's
hilarious.
because Carl, being like, he's getting him out of there, he's giggling like a mad fool the whole time. and he just, and like, this is why this kid needs to get out of the old folks, because Carl's fixated on, like, he cannot miss Hollywood Squares, okay? Like, this kid's greasing himself up to get out and go out a window and fall, like, go out. This is his big freedom moment. But Carl's like, okay, I'm done. I gotta go watch me some Hollywood Squares. Like, I'm out of here.
Because he's like, finally, I got the TV to myself, because all he wanted to do was watch that video about.
That saltwater redneck.
Yes. He played that. He's like, that's why. Like, he's like, we watched this already. Like today.
Because they did shoot a scene, like right before this, there was a scene where we see that Zack is obsessed with this saltwater redneck guy, and there's all these commercials for his wrestling, his wrestling school, which is not that far. Like, it's around this area. This is the bayou, obviously. Like, there's lots of Everglades. There's like it's pretty rural. It's pretty everything's kind of far apart. There's the water's there. There's fishing going on, which is when we meet Tyler, right? Because as Zack is running around in his underwear, we meet Tyler. And Tyler's troubled, handsome, but troubled. Like all bad boys, right? Like, handsome and just troubled. Well, he's troubled for a really good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, he does some really, really not so good stuff. But he is dealing with the guilt of the death of his older brother, who he was pretty close with.
Yeah.
And there's all these silent flashbacks.
I love the older brother with Shane. Mm-hmm. Well, he's not really Shane. Yeah. He's really the Punisher now.
Yeah. Well, the brother's name is Mark. Okay.
Sorry.
And Shane is the Punisher, but the actor's name is John Bernthal. If you don't know John Bernthal as the Punisher, go watch it.
He'll forever be Shane from The Walking Dead. Okay, he banged his best friend's wife.
He's either Shane from The Walking Dead, or I look at him as the Punisher. That was like my favorite role that he was in.
That's the thing. He is a really good actor.
He's exquisite at playing the duality of good guy doing really bad shit.
Yeah, like, but he didn't speak at all, and he was just here for the look. He was just here for the flashbacks. You didn't hear his voice or anything, but it kind of shows why Shia LaBeouf's character is troubled.
But that's one of the things that bothered me, though. Like, there was no real backstory. You just had these.
Yes, you had the flashbacks.
No idea what happened, how much.
You kind of get.
Well, you kind of get the one where there's a car accident. You can see him blacking out into a car accident.
Okay. I didn't get that.
And so it kind of gives you the impression, but they don't actually really tell you. It's all just these bonding moments together, and then Tyler sitting there in a big sulk, all mopey, and then doing something bad like petty theft and blowing things up, and like
it definitely turned him down the wrong path. Whatever happened,
it did. He started like acting out, but he was left alone. He no longer had a support system. He had to support himself. He got a job. He got a job at the fishing place. It is in North Carolina. I remember seeing the map, and so it is like I said, like bio-ish, but that's just to set the scene because there's like marshes and like woods and tree. Like I don't know that much about what it's like to actually live in North Carolina, but it just to me it just had that Mark Twain feel. Like I don't know. It just definitely had that rural, kind of like nothing really around feel, because you really don't see a lot of people. The people you run into are few and far between, as they do. But Tyler gets this job on a fishing boat and decides he's not making enough money, so he starts like stealing the crab pots from other fishers and gets into a whole bunch of trouble. And the one guys are really bad, and they they like to physically handle their problems, like beat you up with a bunch of people, can't just talk to you about nothing. And of course he doesn't take it very well, and he kind of fights back. He gets fired from the good guy he was working with because he was stealing the crab pots from other guys.
Yeah, I don't want no trouble.
He doesn't want no trouble. He doesn't want to lose his fishing license because they're hard to get, so he protects himself, but he likes the guy. He even comes to talk to him later about it. And so, Tyler doesn't have anything against the guy that fired him, but these bully guys with the crab pots that he was messing around with, well, that was something else. So he decides he's going to take off and he's going to head to Florida. But before he does, he sets the whole place on fire.
He was really just trying to set their equipment on fire, but I guess it got out of hand.
He did. He tried to set up the bad guys' fishing equipment. So like, okay, you didn't want me to take 2 or 3 pots? Well, good luck, because you ain't even going to get anything, because they were, kind of roughed him up a bit. And so he does that. Now he's on the run because they're really after him now. Okay.
Well, but while that is going on, Zack, the one that escaped, he finds himself there and then hides in Tyler's boat.
Yes.
So while this is all going on, he
in his underwear.
In his boat. Yes, in his underwear. In his tidy white.
Yeah, that's important. He sees what Tyler does. He sees Tyler get roughed up. He sees Tyler set the equipment on fire, and then he sees Tyler try to run like hell, getting shot at, and all kinds of stuff to get away in the boat. And he hides under the tarp, right, in his underwear. Yeah.
And then it's basically, I'm seasick.
Yeah. And then, well, this comes to one of the biggest problems, because although Tyler is getting away in the boat, and he's got like Zack, unbeknownst to him at the moment, in the bottom of the boat under a tarp, and he goes into...
How many people picked it? How many of us on the panel picked this problem in the reads?
Do you know where we're going with this, Janae, Mrs. C? Like, anybody in the chat have any idea where we're going? Okay, if you've seen the movie, they go into this marshy type area with all the reeds, right? And the bad guys are in their boat and they're chasing him. Okay, and so they turn off their engine and he goes in and he's trying, right? Maybe he's trying like really hard to hide.
There's no way you're gonna hide that big boat.
And he goes into the weeds and he gets down low as if the reeds are high enough. And I'm telling you, reeds were not high enough to hide. Like,
no, exactly. The top bit of the boat was like that thing that was coming up, the metal bit up on the top bit of the boat was still sticking up above them. So there's no freaking hoping. Well, exactly. It's a movie and we're here to pick the fuck out of it.
Exactly. And not only that, like, they would have been visible. The guys like cut their motor and they're listening, right? And they're going real slow because they know he's hiding like in the area. So the bad guys are drifting by. And as they're drifting by and they're all ducking down, Zack gets seasick and starts to like belch like he's gonna vomit. It's like
and then this is where Tyler puts his hand on his mouth.
Oh, and it's really gross. It was really gross, yeah. But Zack gets the point and swallows down what he can and tries not to do it again. But they get out of it, and then they meet, and it's not really pleasant, right? In the beginning,
no.
the last thing Tyler wants is another person like hanging out with him. He has no idea. Like, he doesn't want to be responsible for anybody, and he's dealing with his own stuff.
And I think it's important. I think it's important to point out that as Tyler's like walking away from the boat, just taking his things with him, Lone Ranger, walking off into the sunset, going to do his thing. Zack starts following him across like the sandbars, splashing through the water, still in his tidy whities, still all greased up, and
just
he's about
following him,
like 10, 15 feet behind him. Tyler turns around and he's like, I can't swim. I don't know how to swim. He's afraid of water. Don't leave me alone in the water is what I got from that.
Yep.
Yeah, that is actually a very important part.
It is.
Because when it comes back to later, like further on,
it's pivotal because I don't think Tyler would have turned around and helped him, or I think he would have ignored him and just walked and just pretended he wasn't there if that didn't happen. It was that.
Yeah, he would have just stopped. He didn't care.
Right. It was that little brother, big brother thing. It was like, I need you to show me how to do this. And I think something clicked in him about his own brother and how his own brother always helped him with everything. And even on his face, I could see, forget my language, but fuck, I mean it now. Like, seriously, because he would not, like, he turned around and he looked at him and he was like, damn, like, I cannot just leave him like that,
Yep.
I'll tell you.
That's a good
pivotal point.
Point out. Yeah, good point out.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't want to go through all the things. Like it will take us like hours and hours to go through all of the things. They kind of bonded them together. But there's little things like on and off. They just, at first Tyler's walking ahead. He's walking fast. He's always telling him to hurry up, whatever. He does help him across with the water. He does give him a shirt to wear. He's still in his underwear, but he's wearing a shirt now. And like they work through all this stuff. And he's like, listen, I'm going this way. And he talks to him about the wrestling. Like he says, why are you out here? He says that he's on his way to go to a wrestling school. And he tells him where it is. And then Tyler brings out the map and he says, I'm going here because he's going to Florida. And he goes, it's on the way. So as long as you don't slow me down, we're going in the same way. But once we get to where you're going, like I'm out.
Wait,
like,
before that happened though, didn't he actually leave him? He tried. He tried to leave him, but then something happened where he went back and saw that there was a kid that was bullying Zack to jump in the water. He's like, he can't swim.
All those kids.
Yes, right. That was really, there was this kid trying to get Zack to jump into the water, and he knew Zack couldn't swim because he tried to leave him.
And that's when I think when he realized I cannot leave him on his own because he's gonna just listen. Because he didn't. Well, he ended up getting pushed. He was kind of afraid, but he ended up getting pushed into the water.
And he went in to rescue him. Yeah.
And he saved him. And from then on, he knew that this kid was not safe out here on his own, even though he seemed big enough and strong enough. He just was not. If a little kid like that could do that to him, he was just going to have nothing but real life problems out here. So he wanted to get him at least to the wrestling school.
Yes, exactly. He talked to him like a human being. Like he talked to him as if he was another person. He didn't talk to him as if they were. He talked to him as if they were equals.
Exactly. From the very start, nothing special.
Yeah.
Doesn't give a shit. Just like, I don't need this pain in my butt. You're a pain. Like he didn't pull no punches. Like he's like, you're slowing me down. I don't need this crap. Like whatever. He didn't talk to him much. Well, one of the things that really kind of warmed my heart was they needed like when they decided they were going to go on the adventure together, they needed their bro sign, Like,
yes, I love
it. And I was just like, and you could see the little tiny, like Shia LaBeouf played it really well because he's trying not to smile. Like he's got that, like, I'm not smiling, like I'm not enjoying this, but I'm smiling, I'm enjoying this, like kind of thing. Like he didn't want to give it up. but he played it like really well, like trying to be cool and aloof, but you could see the Tyler was actually like, this kid's pretty cool, you know, he's kind of funny. And Zack is funny. Would you agree? Like Zack is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Zack has been paying attention. He knows some stuff. Like he knows some of the cool stuff. He knows how to relate a little bit, but he's still very childlike. But some of the things he does know are pretty impressive, you know, in how to get to somebody. Like he just gets in there.
He just
very likable character. Yeah.
He just wanted to be a bro. Like he just wanted to be Tyler's bro. Like bro dog on. Like
bro dog.
Yeah. Well,
he wanted a party.
Yep. And then he was like, what's the first rule? Party. No. The other first rule. Oh yeah, don't slow me down. Don't slow me down. Those were the rules, you know. Like everything was a party.
While they are on their, you know, making their way and moving around, Eleanor, who is his caretaker, you know, realizes he's gone. She's looking at his roommate like, what the F? Why? Right. Like, what the F? He's like, just shrugs pretty much. Like, and so she has to go
to the window.
Yeah, and so she has to go and report it to the jerk of I'm gonna call him a jerk. That's the safest thing I can say right now. The director or whatever, the owner, or is it director? Is that what he was called?
Yeah, it's like
administrator.
Yeah, that's the one that runs the place. And he's like, oh no, you gotta find him. And she's like, we need to let the state know. He's like, no, we cannot let the state know. You go find him and bring him back.
Yes,
and so she's out looking for him.
Doesn't want to mark on him, and he puts it on her because she's been writing reports about how this kid is causing trouble anyway, and
he's
she's
a
trying
flight risk
out of there, and so that is a flight risk. And so when he comes back, the administrator is telling her like he's gonna go to like a high risk place, like where they put the bad kids, like
where he would probably get beat up,
like a detention center, kind of thing.
And they're going to lose whatever state funding or whatever they had for his bed.
For him, right. And because he was younger, they get more state funding for him because he needs education and things like that. So like they get more money for it was a big deal. But he's putting it all on her.
He was a smart kid, but and then how do he get the window? He's like, he's strong. You know how
he's
strong
very strong. Yes, like so they're acting like he just bent the bars like Superman or something. It's like really great. But he is very strong because Tyler finds out how strong he is because in all of the swimming and everything like that, Tyler's teaching Zack how to swim while Eleanor gets in the old folks bus and heads off to go find Zack on her own. She's on a mission with a map and a pin, and she's crossing off every place she goes. Tyler's in the process of making sure that Zack doesn't get taken advantage by any more kids telling him to jump off a dock, or because there's a lot of water around in North Carolina that he's not at risk. So he starts to teach him how to swim. So he puts a rope on him, and they start to swim across a body of water. In a boat comes, okay? And Tyler is freaking out because the boat's gonna go over the rope and probably, pull Zack under. So he's pulling on the rope and he's pulling on, and they save each other. Like he gets him over there, but then I forget how is it that Zack ends up having to save him, because I know he's pulling the rope and he gets him over there, but I think it's a different scene where Zack actually ends up saving Tyler in the water.
Was further along.
The gun.
That was further along. Yeah, with the gun. That's further along.
So he pulls him up, all the way out, and he gets him out, and they're bonding. But it's the way that Zack gets through this life-threatening event. It just stands up. It just walks up the beach.
Yeah.
And he's just like, thank you. Like, it's like, and then Tyler is just like flat out having a heart attack on the beach. Like, oh my God. And Zack's just like, you okay, dude?
Oh, well.
And what he said? He says, that's going to be a story to tell. I fell out. I said, is this what I mean about the way they wrote this character? He comes up with these things that he knows that only like a life can tell you, right? Like, well, that's going to be a story to tell people. Like,
Well, I think because he says that because I forgot what he's like. What's the point? Like, how do you be happy or something like that? I forgot what the question was. He asked Tyler.
What's the point of living?
Yes, what's the point?
While they're walking, it's like, what's the point of living?
I agree with Juju in the chat since we're like gonna try and rip this apart. Like, should have seen the freaking boat. Like 2 miles.
The boat just popped out of nowhere. Come on, it popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, just like the reeds had magic powers to hide them. I mean, there are some little
maybe it came out of the reeds. It might have come out of the reeds. Who knows?
The magic reeds. But
so as they're going along, they stopped. They were stopping to get food. He had Zack stay behind, and he went in, and that's where he bumps into Eleanor. Eleanor's going around looking with Zack's picture. And she's like, "Have you seen him? You know, he's hitting on her the whole time. You know, he's hitting on it.
Yeah,
he's hitting on her the whole time. He's like, oh, what do you do?" And she's like, "You escaped the old folk, like escape." And so that's when he comes back after she leaves and goes back to Zack and like, oh, you got a hottie. Like, your friend Eleanor's looking for you. And that's when that bonded them even more. He's like, like we're criminal, like not really criminals, but like, but yeah, they had something because like he was running because he set something on fire. He's running because he escaped.
He doesn't want to go back to the old folks, so he wants to go to the wrestling school. And I have to say, the interaction with Tyler and Eleanor was one of the most awkward ones. Like
it really was. It really was.
Like, I'm not used to seeing Shia LaBeouf with no game. Like, I guess he had game, but not in this instance. Like, she was just like, "Oh yeah, right."
Well,
like,
he was dirty. He was all dirty.
Finger on the way out, like, fuck you, you know, like kind of thing. But can I just say, as a Canadian, so this whole scene going into the little gas station and, you know, talking to the guy behind the counter and he's got rifles on his back or whatever, you know, walking in. The guy behind the counter is like, brings up a jug. I don't know what was in the jug. Whiskey. What is it?
Probably moonshine.
Yeah, it was some kind of,
like it was so very stereotypical to me of what the American South is portrayed.
What they would call backwoods, like, you know,
lawless and just do whatever you want, and weapons and guns and bullets kind of flying and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of, it just kind of, for me, from my perspective, was like, okay, here we go again, another like, you know, stereotype of the South. And then it got worse with the next encounter with the blind gentleman.
Yes. I forget his name, but that man was a character. Because, like,
he was hilarious.
After they get some supplies at this place, they're looking and Tyler's like, this is taking too long because like the kid can walk and everything, but it's not fast and he can't like run.
We should let them know that he did end up giving him pants and some shoes.
Oh yes, he does.
So he's not in his tidy whities.
Wearing these big white fishing rain boot kind of things, mucklucks, you know.
And they bought the peanut butter at that gas station.
And that's where they bought the peanut butter, right? Which is gonna be like, that's one of his favorite things. So enter the peanut butter of the peanut butter part of this thing. And Juju also made another comment in there I wanted to bring up. One of the things about Zack, which is like bonding them closer and closer with Tyler, is that Zack has no fear of danger whatsoever and can get himself into troubles because he's very curious. And he keeps saying, I want to learn. I want to know. He's asking him questions all the time, right? These really profound kind of questions where Tyler's taking the time to answer, because the whole time it's reminding him of his relationship with his brother. Okay. And he has a real thing with it. He really misses his brother. There's quite a few cut scenes where you'll see Tyler sitting or looking and just remembering his brother in its total darkness, it's total sad, it's total guilt, it's total like he did it and he ruined his life, you know, and he's not dealing with it really well. But there's something about Zack that keeps reminding him of his brother. And I think it's like the reversal of big brother, little brother in being taken care of. Because all of the flashbacks kind of lead you to believe that the big brother always was taking care of Tyler. Like Mark was always taking care of Tyler. And that they had a good relationship and shared so much. It seemed like they were on their own together for a while. It just seemed, you know, he just keeps flashing back with true mourning and grief, and he's suffering, you know. And Zack picks up on that, you know. Zack picks up on that without saying anything. You see Zack like hug him once in a while, or when he gets sad, he just pulls him in, you know. And what really, really touched me is that Tyler lets him.
Yeah.
Like Tyler is starving for someone to understand the pain he's in without having to say it, because he can't say it. And so to me, that was one of the things, like, I'm like, he's in it now. Like that kid just laid hands on him. And we forgot to mention that he's escaping around his birthday. The nursing home was like planning a birthday with him, and he was all excited about it because when he left Carl through the things, he told Carl that he was invited to his birthday party now because he helped him escape. And Carl was pleased because apparently he wasn't going to let him go because he didn't think he was fun or something. I don't know. But so that was a big thing. But then one of the touching moments is, you know, Zack is like, tells Tyler to make him feel better that he would give him all of his birthday wishes, all of them. And Tyler, you don't see his face because we're only looking at their backs, right? They're sitting on the and he just melts. You can see he just dies. He just melts. He just like, that's the nicest. And so he can't do. He does like the guy thing. And I know this because of my brothers. Like, they get all emotional. They can't deal with it. What do? They lay hands. So he starts tapping him in the face, like smacking him. And so what does Zack do? He starts smacking him back like, in the face. Like, and I just thought it was just like so typical, adorable. Like, yeah, that's how we deal with emotion here. Like, we're just going to smack each other around a little bit. That's okay. But it was just so genuine.
Well, that's what brothers do.
Yeah.
But at that time, I got mad at the film and the writer. I did. I was like, damn it. This story deserves more than a cliche. This story deserves more than you trying to pull at my heartstrings just so I don't notice all the other shit you did wrong. Like, stop it. I was just like, hold on. You're going to need to pull it out here because you're going to, like, now I'm paying attention because you tried this maneuver on me. Like, I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing here.
Get him, Rocket. Get him.
Yeah.
Get the bot.
Oh gosh, is there a bot on Twitch? Thanks.
Yeah.
Is anybody over there? Because I didn't even look at that chat. Okay.
Rocket's over there.
Thank you. Yep, kill the bot. Those are the nasty bots. Yeah. So let me get to okay. So this scene, your favorite scene, Cass, does it happen before he saves Tyler or after? It happens after.
Before. I thought it was. No. I think it's before.
I think it's after because they talk about how strong he is. That's how.
Well, I think that's before he started training him.
It is before he starts training him, but he mentions him pulling him out of the water and almost pulling his arm out of the socket.
Yeah.
So I think Tyler gets himself into some trouble and Zack has to, save him. And he literally does, like, just physically yank him completely out and almost pulls his arm out of the socket doing it. He's quite strong, Zack, for his age and size with no training. But I want to play this clip, which is Mrs. Cassandra's favorite. It's one of the pivotal parts of the movie that I started paying attention because now I'm annoyed with the writer a little bit. So I may be a little more harsh about this scene because he already like annoyed me with trying to glamour on my heartstrings here, in a manipulative kind of way. So I was like, wait a minute here. But again, there's not going to be any sound. But what I am going to do is drop a link into the chat for you guys of quotes from the movie that does have their voices and the sound. In the first one is actually this scene. So let me just grab that link first. And then I'm going to let Mrs. Cassandra talk about the scene because it is like her favorite. Hold on one second. Let me just copy this link here. Okay. This is from another channel that just did quotes from the movie. And again, when we play this, it's only going to show us what it says on screen. And I'm using it's actually closed captioned right from the movie, so it's all what they said. There's no editing or anything. But I'm gonna let you take it from here, Mrs. Cassandra. So here we go. Oh wait, that's not it. Oh, the wrong way. It's the wrong way. It's the wrong way. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Play. Okay. So they're laying on the beach. He said, but you're strong and you have a good heart. You can be a hero. Like there's gonna be plenty you can't do, but you can still do,
Yeah.
But then when he asked him if he's a good guy or a bad guy, that kind of got me. It kind of really got me. Because like you could see on the face that was just there that Tyler doesn't know what to say because he knows he's done some bad stuff. But he doesn't feel like a bad guy. Like he knows he's a good guy, And
then he asked, like, "What do you think?" Well, what do you think?
Yeah, and he says he was a good guy. He tells him, "You're a good guy," because he recognizes all the good things he does for him and how he's helping him, and Tyler likes it. Like Tyler seems quite moved by that. It was a very touching scene, but it was also blatantly going for it. And I found it hard to believe that Tyler would actually be able to handle that conversation that way, given the situation and where he was mentally about his brother. Unless, of course, he had such an outstanding relationship with his brother that he was channeling him to do it. Like he answered it the way he would have got the answer from his brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he turned into his brother for a moment.
Yeah, it was like, because I was like, oh, come on. I mean, this definite movie is meant to be a feel good, make you think, show you some of the difficulties of the situation with someone who does have Down syndrome, and try to portray them a little too much like everybody else. But in a way, it was good because you actually have a real Down syndrome person playing as the actor. And so I got a little more comfortable knowing that Zack was okay with how he was portrayed in that situation. So that's how I reconciled it with myself, because at first I was very defensive for Zack, going, don't even talk to him like that. Like, don't set him up like he can do anything, because he can't. And the next person's going to come around and prove it to him. And that's crushing. The false hope is poison, in my opinion.
The one thing I did take from this movie was this kind of understanding more about,
the
Down
struggle
syndrome and stuff. Yeah, the struggle.
and the struggle.
Yeah.
And I would say that there's a lot of similarities. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a therapist or a doctor or anything like that. But I would say there's a lot of similarities where when you meet one Down syndrome person, you meet one person. They're not all the same. The same with an autistic person. Not everyone has it to the same degree and the same level.
Yeah.
And so you actually have to get to know the person very well to find out what those struggles actually are, because they're all a little bit different. But the fact that he presents himself, he can speak, but you see him struggling with words sometimes. You see him struggling with the formation of a sentence or a complete thought, but he has the thought.
He did it. He did a hell of a job, though.
He
did really good.
And emotionally, you know, like he sort of didn't really have a complete emotional body, I guess you could call it. You know, he was like, this is fact. Why argue with it? And just get on with what you're doing, you know? And that's, he just continues on with his life. He doesn't care about anything else. And I think that was what I took away from it. I mean, after she joined the movie, you know, like you said, stereotypical ending, and that, she didn't even have to be there. I mean, just the two of them getting to the wrestling school was cool. You know, I thought it was a really good story, but, you know,
when we get to that part, that gets to be like a little bit, gets to be like a little crazy, but that part, like, Janae, I know we could talk about it. We don't have to wait till the ending to talk about this part, because that scene kind of brings it all out. One of the topics that this movie actually brought up for me, and several others that I had in DMs, was actually, is it ableist or not ableist? Like, did they go too far? Or did they just pat around it? Did they make it like too soft? Like, it kind of makes you focus on, you know, the story is about Zack. The whole thing, the whole story revolves around Zack. Everybody else is like an extra character. Tyler being the most prominent one in their relationship. But it's all about how Zack is, or how that relationship develops, you know. So, like, at certain points, I was uncomfortable. Not so much for Zack, but just that I was wondering how much input they actually gave Zack, people with Down syndromes, therapists, experts in the field, on portraying it, you know, because I think they did a pretty decent job. But there were other things, you know, that kind of irked me. Does anybody else have any feelings on that?
Well, at the very beginning, like, you know, we all talked about, like, why, you know, he's out there in his underwear, right? So you have this kid who wasn't necessary for him to be in his underwear for the first third of the movie, right? Like, you know, okay, yes, to get out of the window, but yeah, you know, I agree. Have the old guy, you know, chuck some clothes out and, you know, put some clothes on. It didn't add anything to me to have him not clothed, unclothed.
Agreed.
So that kind of stuck out to me a little bit. And let me think of some of the other bigger pieces. What really got, when they were in the cornfield, you know, as they were walking, and he kind of almost like started to charge up towards Tyler. He said, I want you to see me, or something like that, words to that effect. He said, I am a Down syndrome. Like, that's how he viewed himself. I am a Down syndrome. And I'm wondering if that's, you know, I think that was just the character Zack's experience. I don't think that is the experience of every person with syndrome. They are not a Down syndrome. They're a person, you know, with Down syndrome.
Right. I think that's a good point, Janae.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And I think the whole point of Zack's character was to bring about Tyler's kind of redemption. Could that have been done without Zack being a Down syndrome, having Down syndrome?
Right.
You know, so there's some little pieces that kind of went, is it? But then I thought to myself, why not? You know, having a character with exceptionalities or differences should not be out of the ordinary in
exactly.
movies.
And I think Grace Grace made a comment that actually kind of puts it in a nutshell for me, and I think maybe even for all of us, based on the conversation we're having. She said she doesn't think it was ableist to the point that it was unrealistic. It's the unrealistic parts of it that are annoying us more. The fact that they have him running around in his underwear when he didn't need to be, when we clearly know that Zack has presented himself as someone who knows you get dressed every day and you wear clothes in real life. In that, yes, the joy of freedom is going to be there, but I doubt, because of routine and what he's been taught and how he's been raised, that he would be running around in his underwear out there. I do think he would be able to throw his clothes out the window first. I think he would be so excited about escaping that he did have a plan. He's been thinking about it all along. All he wanted to do was get to the wrestling place. So, like, not that I think it was going to be a master plan or whatever. It probably would have been a snack bar in a pair of sneakers, but it would have been a plan. Okay. Like, it would have been something. So I think that puts it in a nutshell. It was a little unrealistic, and that's the little parts that was like made you nod. Like, are they really making him like too much that way? Because he's really not. Like, you can tell with everything else he's doing that he's not. Like, so, But like you say, everyone gets portrayed differently, and I really think it was great that they did have a character like this just so naturally, and an actor who actually knows what it's like playing the part. I was much less offended that Zack is playing a character like himself or something similar to himself. We don't know how much comfortable he is with how it was portrayed or not, but it was much more comfortable than watching an actor without Down syndrome playing the part. It seemed much more natural.
I think it would have been, I don't think it would have been perceived great at all if it wasn't an actor. If someone was acting like, because that would have just been wrong, in my opinion.
Right. So moving on
Jen wants to
that.
know. Jen just wants to know how they didn't have a hangover after drinking half that bottle of moonshine each.
Oh, they did.
I thought they drank all of it.
They drank.
Yeah, well, they had half each. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's
how
when
did they not end up with hangovers the next day?
Exactly. And that's when they decide he's going to teach him how to wrestle, because he wants to be a pro wrestler. They talk about him, he could be a hero and he wants to be a wrestler. So he's going to teach him how to wrestle, even though he doesn't know how to wrestle.
And that's when he's like, you need a name. Just like was it sea salt water?
Salt water redneck. Salt water redneck.
I just know the redneck part. Okay.
I know, because he actually is. He's played by a wonderful character.
That's when Tyler's like, you need to have like a name for yourself, like a wrestler. Like, who's your favorite wrestler? And that's when he talks about
it. He screams it. He screams Falcon, really into it.
He's like,
and so they go and get brush, and he gives him wings and everything. And then, like, while he's out getting the brush, the kid starts like, because he's drunk, and now he starts
eating the peanut butter.
He starts eating peanut butter, and so he goes, "Hey, I didn't tell you can have any peanut butter." And he's like, "Peanut butter? Like, you don't need permission to eat peanut butter. It's peanut butter." Like, so
I think isn't that all they have to eat is the peanut butter?
That's what I was thinking. He was so, I've got to give this back. I'll just keep the peanut butter, basically.
Exactly.
And then they're like painting it all over the place and flinging it around. I'm thinking, well, you're obviously not starving to death.
No.
Or you wouldn't be painting it on your faces. You'd be eating it.
He goes to put war paint on him with the ashes, right? And then the kid's like, peanut butter. And he puts the peanut butter all over now he becomes the Peanut Butter Falcon. And that's where the name comes from.
Yes.
It was quite charming. I like the humor part of that, like that they tied into the name. To such a small scene in the movie is actually the name of the whole movie. Like, that just cinched it for me. But then they go on the wrestling, and now they're going to continue their trip because they're going to find this guy, this saltwater redneck that Mrs. C is like having issues with him.
We gotta keep reminding them that we got Eleanor looking for Zack. We got the bad guys that Tyler's caught their equipment on fire looking for Tyler. So we got, and they're not far behind.
No,
Both
they don't.
aren't far behind. Actually, Eleanor meets up with them in the morning.
Right. And before we even get to Saltwater Redneck, we have to deal with the blind Bible guy. Okay. The baptismal and everything. The guy comes out of his shed with a gun because they're over there, they're walking and they want to get someplace faster, and they find a boat like off to the side off this shack. And they're looking at the boat, and this guy comes out swinging a pistol. He's blind. He can't see. And yeah, it goes like amok from there. And the guy is so funny. He's like, "Are you white? Are you black?" And then he's like, they don't answer, so he shoots. And then they scream, "White!" Like Zack sleeps light. He goes, "I knew it. I could have smelled you. I smelled you." And he goes, "Are you God-fearing?" And Tyler just goes, "Yes." He goes, "Oh yeah, good. Come on in. Like, come on in. Let's have some tea." And they're like, "He just shot at us. Now he wants us to come in and have some tea." But the guy was like a great character. But he lets them take anything on the property besides the boat. He needs the boat. He doesn't want them to have the boat. So they build a raft. And they build a raft with a sail that they're going to take to get the rest of the journey so that they can go faster. And while they're doing all this building, they're in one place for a while. And this is when Eleanor starts to catch up to them, right? Because they just took off that day when she reaches that guy's house that morning. Like they just took off before. And she sends them, again, he asks her if she's God-fearing, and she's like, "Sometimes, And he invites her in for tea, and she gets all the information. But they're going to meet up. And long story short, she does meet up with him. It's a little contentious, but she ends up joining them. She ends up joining them on the raft to go to let Zack meet Saltwater Redneck and go to the wrestling school. That's all Zack wants to do, because they have a talk about how he does not belong in a nursing home. He has a right to an actual life. He's having the time of his life out here. And she gets the call from the administrator that he's definitely going to the detention center when he gets back, period, because of the reports that she wrote previously. So she feels very guilty. She knows if she brings him back, he's not going to be to the nursing home. He's going to go to the detention center. And his life is going to be incredibly more difficult than it was even in the nursing home. And so she's dealing with all of that. She's kind of thinking she needs to take care of Zack at that point. Would you guys agree? Like she feels like she's his official caretaker, and only she knows what to do because she's educated and she's in the industry, and like she deals with this all the time. But she gets schooled right off the bat on that raft by Tyler very quickly. And this was, well, I'm just going to say it. This was my favorite part of the movie. That conversation was the most real that I wish. Well, it's actually not the most real. It's the one I want to be the most real.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? It's the one I want to be taken away from this movie. It's the one I want to see happen more often, because people don't realize they do what Eleanor was doing, right? I mean, you guys know what I'm leading up to, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the one to say it because I'm talking too much. Does anybody else want to talk about this scene in particular? Because I think it's a good one.
Well, because Zack throws the keys to the bus into the ocean. Don't know how they couldn't just go and find him right there, because no way he threw him that far. But anyway, so they get on the raft, the makeshift raft, and so Tyler goes, "Okay, let's continue our training." Tells Zack to dip his head in the water to hold his breath, and that's when he just drills into Eleanor, like,
because she immediately was like, "Do you need something to eat? Maybe you should have this. Like, let me help you with your shirt." Like she wasn't letting Zack do anything for himself.
He's like, "Why are you treating him like a kid?"
Yeah. She said, "Why are you treating him like a retard?" Is what she said. He said, straight out.
That's right.
And she got offended.
Yeah.
and said, I would never call him that. And he looked right in her face. He said, everything you're doing right now is what you're telling him he is.
Yeah. He popped back up. Like, and then she's like, oh, you need more time.
So, she wants to yell at him back to defend herself, but it comes around. There's really no defense for it. She has to realize that, yes, she's treating him like a child, like he can't do anything for himself.
Yeah.
She's not enabling him with the power to know the things he can do and the things he can't do.
She's taking away his agency is what she's in everything she does. It's like when you have a kid and you continuously tie their shoes for them instead of teaching them to tie their shoes on their own, or feed themselves, or dress themselves, or choose their clothes, right? So, developmentally, she's stunting his growth. She's not allowing him to grow by being maternalistic or paternalistic, or whatever the term is. He needs agency.
She loves him. Like, she cares for him. Like, she does. And she thinks she's doing the right thing. But she has to right then and there realize, oh my God, like, this is why he's out here with Tyler. Like, because I could take care of him, but Tyler can teach him to do things for himself. Tyler's not babying him at all. If he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, he succeeds. And each thing that he does is what life is really like out there. And it's a hard thing because everybody does it. And to some degree, we all do it. And it's just, I'm glad that they focused on it, on how damaging it actually can be when we think we're doing the right thing in really putting ourselves out there on it. And we're really not. It's that old, teach someone to fish and they can feed themselves for life, or hand them a fish and they get one meal. It's that whole thing. And it like Janae said, it's about raising children. It's about building friendships. It's about your partners. It's about the disabled community. It's about everybody. It's not just about ableism or not ableism. You know what I mean? It's definitely a life thing. I was like so happy to see it put out front, that it is so common. It is just so common for that to happen, and for Tyler to just come out with it like that. Like, nope, he wasn't.
He kept telling her, like, when she's like, "Oh, are you hungry? Have you eaten?" He's like, "Stop doing that. Don't do that." Like,
yeah, because like he could see why. I think it clicked why Zack said what he said.
Yeah,
I am Down syndrome. They tell me I'm this, so I'm this. This is that's all I know, because they don't let me do anything for myself. Like, they keep me in an old homes phone, and I'm not allowed to do this. I'm like, he doesn't get to make any decisions for himself or do these things.
As they're arguing though, I was like, okay, I think it's been too long since he's been under there, because there's no way he's holding it. But he comes back with a fish, so they get to eat.
Yeah. So long story short, they settle off on their adventure, right? Like, now they're going. Okay, so now I get to the boat. There's the boat that they created. It's like a raft. It's actually quite clever. And he's got a real long pole. So when they go to the shallow areas and everything, because that's how North Carolina, the waterways are. Okay. And then they go over the big open ways. They have the sail and all. So they can cover more of a distance, because it was like, they don't have access to a lot of food and a lot of stores and stuff like that. And they kind of got to forage and things like that. So like, they got to kind of cut the trip a little bit shorter than how long it was taking. So this was the great part. She then sees that, like, he's teaching Zack some skills that, like, even though they don't seem like necessary skills, like how long can you hold your breath underwater, it could save his life one day, because he is heavier with muscle mass. He would get tired swimming if he got thrown off a boat or something like that. He could probably swim enough to try to stay afloat for a while, but I mean, it could come in handy. We don't see how right away, but Zack is so happy about it, is what she sees. Zack is blooming. Like, he's glowing with encouragement and ability right now, and does not feel like he can't do things. Like he's looking forward to trying more and more things. And I think she recognized that right away. I think she was sad she's not the one who did it, and she's annoyed that that guy did it. But I think there's also a relationship blooming between Eleanor and Tyler here.
An awkward one. Because it's just so like it's just like they didn't. It just went too fast. It got too fast as far as like they should have been hanging out more and getting to know each other more. But that's just my opinion.
Do. But there is something to be said. Strong-willed women, like, they will look twice when somebody pushes back like that. And he actually schooled her if he was right. And so I think now she's looking at him a little bit differently. I really do.
Yeah.
I do. I think she thinks she may have misjudged him a little bit, or that there might be something there she overlooked. Like she's just taking a little side eye glance, like a little bit over there again. Not too much, but so now we head off. They take the we're gonna, I guess, from here. I think really there's only like little scenes. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that she also felt so guilty. She's got the guilt happening that, oh my God, he's living out here. And from my reports in the past, this is going to go so bad.
Right.
Because of those stupid reports. And I went by the book and I was wrong. Yeah.
She knew he didn't belong there, and she hadn't been successful in getting him out there or getting him placed. She was frustrated with the system, and she just felt
and because the system let her down, and on behalf of that, she inadvertently let him down, and she realizes what a big fuck up the system was. Unfortunately, too late. Yeah,
because
she not only let him down, Zack down, she let down all those other old folks, all the other folks that she's worked with and, is with. She's also just probably realizing, I just lost my job, right? I have no job to go to. And now kind of hooking my wagon to this guy who's running and is
probably going to go to jail. Yeah.
Probably going to go to jail. And I'm now, kind of involved in whatever comes out of this, right? I'm in a series of events now that I'm not willing to walk away, or I can't walk away. But yeah, I think she's got some atonement to do. And I think she's doing it through participating and helping them and all of this kind of stuff.
Right. In supporting Zack in his goal of he wants to be a wrestler. He's training every day. He's taking it very seriously. He's doing the work to accomplish it. Like she sees all the benefit of it. And there's really not much she can do about it, because she needs to hitch a ride on this raft to get to where she's going, because she don't have the van anymore, and she got to get the land. Like she doesn't really have a choice. She had to go with them. So, and basically from here on until they get to Saltwater Redneck's house, they basically are it's just like they, fun in the sun and just bonding, like blah 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 blah.
Not all the time, because the bad guys. You gotta remember the bad guys.
Yes, the bad guys are still after him. They do catch up to him, but and they get away, but they're going to catch up to him. Let's get to the part where he meets Saltwater Redneck, because it's kind of sad and good at the same time. Okay. First of all, Saltwater Redneck is played by Thomas Hayden Church. And if you know anything about Thomas Hayden Church, he's a fantastic actor. And he did a fantastic job of playing a washed-up wrestler that really shouldn't been running ads, okay, for this kid to watch. Apparently, they pull up to this shack that is like the worst shack like ever. I don't even know how it was standing up. And he answers the door, and you can tell right away this is not a wrestling school. This is not anything that it was portrayed in the ads. The ads must have been from years ago, and they must have been just like playing on the TV on the odd channels or whatever.
I thought he was watching it in the VCR.
On a video.
In the video. Okay, so it's like really old. And obviously it's washed up, done, just barely 2 sticks together. Looks like he might drink a little, like whatever. Just definitely not running a wrestling school. There's no wrestling school anywhere around. Zack idolizes this wrestler. Okay. It's his hero. Like, and he wanted to learn how to wrestle from this guy. And this is just, he sees him and it doesn't click that it's not what he thinks it is. Like, it's just him. He just sees saltwater redneck. Everybody else sees disaster, including saltwater redneck. At first, he's just not about it. He's like, so what? Like, whatever. There's no, like, I don't know. He doesn't even admit to being himself, does he? Like, he's like, he doesn't even admit it at first.
Well, he was just asking about the school, and he's like, I closed that like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think Zack recognized him, to be honest.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't have his costume on. He was just this old, long, scraggly hair. And Tyler kind of, talked to him very closely so Zack couldn't hear. And he said, this kid idolized you. Just say hello to him. And he introduced him as Clint to Zack, and Zack said hello, but there was no recognition that this was saltwater redneck. Until, and then we get to the next part of the story.
Go ahead. Tell them how
they left there, and they're walking away, and it looks like they're walking through this farm, and then all of a sudden this not a race car. What am I trying to say? Like this hot rod car or whatever?
Yep. Yeah.
Spins and does donuts, and I thought it was the other guys finding them.
Yeah, I thought it was.
I was like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. But it's actually saltwater redneck in all of his like makeup and his costume, and he goes, "Hey, hello, I'm saltwater redneck," and Zack's all excited, and he's, they talk and they hug,
and then that's when
invites him to come in the car, and he's going to train him, and it's all very roses and sunshine and rainbows kind of thing.
Yep. This is Zack's face while they're driving in the car, because what does he say to him? He says, "Hey, want to learn how to wrestle?" or something like that. And he just like, he explodes. Yes. They all jump, and he goes, "Oh," but then he's screaming. He said, "But can I bring my friends?" Like, yeah, like real, like, oops, I don't want to leave without them. Like, and he goes, "Sure." And they all jump in the car, and they're driving back with their hands up, and they're screaming at the top of his lungs. He's so excited, about this whole thing. And they go back to the shack, the same shack, and the guy made a little wire, like a little rope ring that he's going to train him. I mean, it was so sad looking, but this kid did not care, because this was saltwater redneck, and he's going to teach him how to wrestle. And he was just beyond. I mean, the joy, and just, you could see it on Tyler and Eleanor. They were just like, "Oh my God, like this is like the best moment of it. I just hope this works out," because they've got this drunk has-been going to be teaching him how to wrestle. And God knows if he knows anything. It does sound like a little bit of a dangerous situation, but everybody was down with it. And actually, there's some other wrestlers in the area that, they're all retired in the area, and they actually still do wrestling. Like little, like
backdoor wrestling,
backwoods wrestling, where they bet and they drink, and they do all of this stuff. So they start talking about him doing an actual wrestling match, because, Eleanor's not for it, because of course she thinks he's going to get hurt. Like, but Tyler's like, he wants to wrestle. Of course he does. Like, so he's like, I want to wrestle. He wants a match. So,
yeah, so he's excited.
He's excited, and Saltwater Redneck gets one of his friends to wrestle him. Well, his friend
reluctantly
agrees, but won't make any deals.
Yeah,
because of course he won't make a deal. He's played by Jake the Snake Roberts. Everybody knows him.
Did you see Mick Foley? Mick Foley was there too. I was like, oh my goodness. I grew up with wrestling.
Mick Foley actually plays, what does he play? He plays the
referee, like the announcer, referee,
referee, whatever the thing is, like, So I do love Mick Foley. Mick Foley is like awesome.
I love him.
But Jake the Snake Roberts really wasn't very much out of character, except for he wasn't wearing all his fancy stuff. But he definitely
and he didn't have a snake with him.
But he was the snake in this case.
Yeah, I was going to say that he was the snake.
He was the snake because he just like everybody was like, "I'll take it easy on him," whatever. And he's like, "No, it's a wrestling match." You know, like I make no deals. Like the hell with you, that's you. You know, and it's like, so now we're all like kind of tense. We're worried about the kid, right? Like, cause like, you know,
well, we didn't mention the part where because he was nervous.
The over the head. The reason everybody's nervous is like Zack was obsessed with this one move that
atomic slam or something.
The atomic slam.
Yeah.
Saltwater Redneck would pick up the party up above his head and throw him out of the ring. And he had to explain to him it was all fake. That he picked them up, but like everybody kind of flew themselves. And
he's like, no one could do it. He's like, it's impossible.
He said, no one is strong enough to pick somebody up like that and do it. Nobody could do it. They use this word, impossible. Okay. So if you know where I'm going, right, people? Because apparently Zack doesn't know what the word impossible means. Okay. Because he's getting his butt kicked.
Oh, atomic. Okay, atomic throw. Silly.
Atomic throw.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. I'm glad you did your homework, people. You're impressing the hell out of me. Like, this is the success. This is a total success. The chat did their homework and they're schooling us on the stuff we get wrong.
Yeah. I think Juju just had enough with us and like, you know what? I'm out of here because you guys are just all over the place.
Yep. She should have been here giving us her opinion like she said she was going to, but hey, I'm just a dragon.
Okay. It was a good recommendation. I'm glad like that we watched. So
I really enjoyed it.
We're getting towards the end here where Jake the Snake Roberts decides not to go with the plan to take it easy on his kid. He starts slamming his butt all over the place. And it looks like this kid's gonna get like really hurt. Okay. And not as if that's not enough drama, they flash to somebody calling the bad guys to say, "Oh, guess who's here?" Yeah. And so now we got the bad guys with loaded guns racing towards.
Well, we forgot about the scene the kissing scene where he kissed her to handcuff her to the.
That's right. Eleanor is because she doesn't want Zack to wrestle. So he kisses her and handcuffs her to the steering wheel so that she can't interfere with Zack's dream. Okay, because she's like gonna mama bird him to death, like over this whole thing. And Zack was starting to hesitate a little, like he couldn't do it. And Tyler was in the process of building him up to like you can do it if you want to do it. Like, what do you mean? Like, you just have to believe. I know. Of course, Mrs. C is the one that had to remember the handcuffs because that is
she wouldn't be mayhem.
Main job everywhere she goes is to make sure there's a little bit of mayhem gets in there. And anyway, the bad guys are on their way, and it's good you reminded us about that because Eleanor is the one who sees them first.
Yeah.
And she's handcuffed to the steering wheel, and she can't do anything. And so she's like looking for tools. She gets out.
Well, didn't she find the key? And she was like fumbling and couldn't get it. Like she was fumbling with the key.
Pliers.
That's what it was.
Pliers and busted it. Like,
does anybody else have pliers in their glove box? Is that a normal?
Oh, I do.
I guess the redneck does.
And their needle nose too, just like those actually. But they're not in my glove compartment. They were in my trunk. Like, yes, I also had an empty big pen. I had fix the flat and some nylon stockings.
Be hard to get handcuffs.
No, my brothers, they had all that stuff back there for me and told me what to do with all of it. The needle nose pliers were actually. Nope, the needle nose pliers were actually for bending something in the carburetor when it got stuck. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the handcuffs. When the handcuffs, furry handcuffs.
Yes. Yes, they were. Yes,
they were cheetah.
They were fun ones. Yes, they were fun cuffs. They were definitely fun cuffs. I don't know why they were there, but they were definitely in saltwater rednecks cars. We'll listen and we won't judge. No, we're not going to judge. handcuffs. Look. But anyway, so the bad guys are on the way. Okay.
Oh, they were pink. You're right.
I think they were beige, but I don't know.
No,
They look
I always thought they were leopard.
I
They
don't.
were leopard
Okay.
print.
We're never
We're all
going to
seeing the handcuffs we
hung
want.
up on the handcuffs. We're never going to get to the ending. We're at the ending.
Pink cheetah print. Okay, so Janae and I are right.
Oh, pink cheetah. Oh my God. Thank you, Jean. Thank you for clearing that up. Jinsu. Yes, thank you. Anyway. So the bad guys are on the way. She breaks out. She runs to tell them, and we've got like slow-mo scene, right? Like we got this slow-mo scene.
Yeah, we got Zack finally getting Jake the Snake Robert up. Like he's slowly getting him up in the air because it was slow-mo. Slowly getting him up in the air.
Yeah, he's gonna try the atomic throw. Okay, he's got him up. We've got Tyler not paying attention, screaming at Zack, "Go for it!" Like so thrilled, just like everything. We got Eleanor running towards the ring to warn Tyler in slow-mo, right?
We got the bad guys not far behind her,
and we got the bad guy with a shotgun aimed right at Tyler. Okay.
I thought it was the crowbar he had. I thought he had a crowbar.
Yes. Oh, is it a crowbar? Wait a minute.
Yeah, he had a crowbar.
It's crowbar. The one guy had a crowbar. The other guy had the gun. This right. He comes up behind him and it's raised up. And we see him take the swing just as Zack is throwing. He gets Jake the Snake, dead ass, big ass body up there. It's
over the ring.
Over his head, first. And he's standing there like Mr. Strongman. And just as the tire iron comes down on Tyler's head, Zack throws him out of the
I really thought he was going to throw him onto the bad guys. I thought the bad guys were going to get hit with Jake the Snake Robert.
He never saw him. And at this point, I thought the movie was over. I was like, this is where I have a problem with the ending. Because at that point, I was like, you see, the kid gets his victory. He's a wrestler. He did the impossible. But this is the real life part. His friend just died.
That's what I thought too.
Taught him everything, because like consequences, like he has to learn about life's consequences. You can't be a bad guy. You can't be a good guy doing bad things and not have consequences. And so, like, I thought that was going to be the message, right? But no.
Yeah.
Enter Disney.
So we're now. So now we are in the hospital. It's not. There's just scenes of the hospital,
right?
We don't see Tyler at all. We don't see Tyler at all.
We see Zack sitting on a bench, really worried, right? And we see a doctor.
He's talking to Eleanor,
and she doesn't look very happy at all. And then the doctor walks away, and she puts her head down, and that is where they ended for them.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I thought, like, that's where consequences and everything. Zack has to learn that he accomplished something on his own, but good guys that do bad things have consequences, and there's loss and there's pain, but there's good. Like, we thought it was going to be a big life lesson, and it was a good life lesson.
I was like fuming, like when it panned to the other scene. I was like, they're really not going to end like this.
Because enter Walt Disney and Tinkerbell, and here comes the wand. And they're in a car and they're driving, and it's Zack and Eleanor in the front seat, right? And they're driving, and I think, they're driving because she's taking him back to wherever, and it's all over. But they flash the Florida sign. They're entering, they're on the way to Florida. And
it's like, just them.
And it's just
all you see them. Yeah, you just see them.
And then what? Who wants to take this final climatic scene?
So they flash the sign for Florida, and they look at each other, smile. So you're like, oh, they did it for him. They did it for Tyler because he's gone. Then
I was thinking they're too freaking happy. He just died. Like,
right. So Zack goes and looks in the back seat, and the camera pans over. There he is with his head all wrapped up, and he's like, they made it. And that's how it ends.
And that it was over. Like,
I was like, what?
Disappointment plus.
I know. It was like Walt Disney entered the room with the fairy dust and Tinkerbell and then zapped out and left us with nothing. We don't know if Eleanor got together with him. We don't know if they're going to be.
We're gonna assume because she liked them handcuffs.
We don't know if maybe Zack says, you two people gross me out with the kissing stuff. Like, I'm out of here. Like, we don't know what happens next. Like, we just have no idea.
We just know he got his dream. Tyler went in the hospital. They made it to Florida.
And it just pissed me off that they gave us that happy ending. I'm sorry. I'm such a nudge, but like, I like the life lesson part of it. Like, if you're going to give me a happy
life
ending,
lesson,
like, don't give me the happy ending and don't tell me the rest of the story.
Like, yes, exactly. I'm okay. He died. They went to Florida because that was the end game for him. So they did it for him. They did it for Tyler. Now they can run off into the sunset together and mourn their friend. But no.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least give us like a flash forward kind of picture as you're rolling of
maybe a pregnant Eleanor, because Tyler smashed it.
Or them with a small child, maybe like a little boy, and Zack is part of their family, and Zack is being the big brother to the little boy and teaching him wrestling, like something.
Anything. Like you wanted to see it carry on.
I skipped through the credits, hoping I was going to get an actor because it's like, okay, Disney, give us an actor like Marvel.
Maybe there's going to be a sequel, and it's going to be called Strawberry Jam Parakeet. Like, I don't know. Like we can only hope. Like the Peanut Butter Falcon has his own wrestling school for underprivileged and disabled children and
Peanut
adults,
Butter and Jelly Hawk. See, Peanut Butter and Jelly Hawk.
Yeah, like they all have food names with birds, right? There's gonna be cheese blueberry, cheese blue jay, and there's gonna be macaroon robin. Like there's gonna be like the whole thing. But I was just hoping there'd be a sequel about it. But
I'm on their couch. Where you been? Oh yeah, that's right. You've been over there smacking the butt.
I know he's been working himself to death over there on Twitch. Thank you for your dedication there, Couch.
I agree with Grace. I think I want to say that I don't agree with Grace. I want to just think, okay, he got his family. He got his big brother and sister.
Yeah, but you know who else got their family?
Tyler.
And you know who else got their family?
Eleanor.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing about Eleanor, honestly.
Well, Eleanor
nothing about her.
Well, she was a bit priggish. I'm sure she did not have anything going on at home. Like,
she's a widow. She said,
"Oh, that's right.
She is a
widow. Yeah. That's right."
And she was like threw herself into her work. Like that's why she was so attached with Zack and like everybody there. Like she just threw it. And so she's got her life back now too. In the future, like they all
Biscuit Butterfly.
I love the names. Like, you guys are cracking me up.
That's
this was.
I was going to say that's how memorable she was in this thing.
I'm sorry,
it was unmemorable.
I could not bond with that character.
Neither could I.
I more often wanted to smack her than give her a
partner. Yeah, me too. I was like, oh my gosh, she's annoying. Like, get out of here.
I don't like her. Like,
I don't like the actress myself. Like,
I
think, but
I do like.
She has a tendency to roll her eyes a lot in the characters that she plays. Like, even when she was talking to the blind guy and everything, she was like,
Your guy can't see you roll your eyes. Yeah. He's blind. He can't see it, even though the actor probably wasn't blind.
It's unnecessary. Like, seriously. But this was a small film in comparison for how popular it was. Like, it's back in 2019. It cost about $6 million to make, and it made like 23 million worldwide. As an independent film, it was not a big release. This was an independent film, by the way. These were two directors that put this out there and producers. They didn't have a big budget. It was.
I thought that they had met Zack, because that's his name. also in real life.
It is,
I thought they
right.
had met him, and I think that was like he wanted to do something, and I thought they pretty much made this film just for him.
Right, because it was about like something he thought was cool. Like, well, this is and they laid out the story, and I think he worked very closely with them with the messages that were portrayed. That's why I was more comfortable with some of the tougher issues that do come up in the movie, because I do think they took a very realistic, natural approach to it, like just laid out there.
And he was, and because of this, Zack became the first award presenter like that, and not like does presents the award.
Yep.
That has Down syndrome or any kind like so
exactly. I got a whole list of awards here, like that it actually got. First of all, like just to talk about how popular, Rotten Tomatoes gives it 95%.
That is a lot for Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
Rotten
a lot
Tomatoes
for
is
Rotten
very
Tomatoes
vicious.
And they don't like sappy. Rotten Tomatoes does not like sappy, and there are some very sappy, syrupy, like over sweet moments in this movie that, like, I was like,
I really enjoyed it, and I have to say, Shia LaBeouf is a really underrated actor. All I'm going to say, I grew up watching him on Even Stevens. I loved him on the Holes, and even in Transformers. He's done a lot, and he's been through a lot. Like he's talked about, he's like, Hollywood wasn't nice to him.
The harsh, you know what? I agree. Like, he doesn't get a lot of credit, but because everybody just thinks he's a fluff actor. He's just like a good-looking, like Rat Pack kind of kid. Like,
and he was always like goofy because he's a goofy kid,
right?
Like funny, goofy kid. But he's a really good actor.
It got so many astounding reviews, but the harshest one that I saw was actually not that harsh. I kind of agree with it, but like a mixed review that came out was from IndieWire, and they described it as a warm, if somewhat overcooked, dramedy, suggesting that while the film has heart, it may lean too heavily into sentimentality. And I'd have to agree with that. When it got sweet, it got saccharin, going to kill you with diabetes in a minute. Sweet, like it just over sweetened. Like sweet tea is great, like, but too much sweet tea is really bad for you. Some of the recent features that actually are still showing the Peanut Butter Falcon is that it got in the 23 best comedy movies on Netflix. It's still there. It's one of the best, like 23. And in Entertainment Weekly, it's number 17 of the best PG movies on Netflix, suitable for teens and adults and everything, that anybody could watch, and it's a good message. Awards that it got was like the South by Southwest Film Festival, the year that it came out in 2019. It won for the narrative. Spotlight Audience Award, reflecting strong audience appreciation, meaning it got so much talked about and so much positivity about it in the message that it's saying, that they gave it an award. It won the Nantucket Film Festival, the Doival Film Festival, the Crested Buttle Film Festival, and National Board of Review in 2019, Palm Springs International Film, Hollywood Critics Association in 2020, nominated for Best First Feature and Breakthrough Performance for Zack, as you said, playing a character very similar to himself, winning the Newcomer Award of the Year, highlighting his significant impact as a debut actor, just on his acting skills. Not once when he received that award did they mention his Down syndrome or the character that he played. They just spoke about his acting skill, which I thought
he did really good.
He did really well. Beyond Directors Guild of America in 2020 for outstanding directorial achievement in a first-time feature film, and that was for the directors Tyler Wilson and Michael Schwartz, recognizing their first film adventure in how well that they did. Remember, it was an indie film, so it wasn't really pushed by the big industry. So of course, it's not going to get an Oscar or any of that stuff. But
I think it deserved to be.
It did get so much recognition in the indie world, though. That's a lot of awards for the first year out. But that's about it. Like, we still have like a couple of minutes if you guys want to talk about some of the other issues that kind of came up in the movie. I think we've talked about the ableist one. Well, here's what I wanted to ask you guys about. What do you think about the portrayal of dreams versus societal expectations? That was kind of like an overview of the whole thing. Like Tyler had his dreams, Eleanor had her dreams, Zack had his dreams. I mean, even Saltwater Redneck had his dreams. But they all were victims of societal expectations and pressures. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah. It all comes back. It seems to judge books by their covers. You put yourself out into the public and everybody judges you just by what you look like out on the street. And that's where things that's where things go wrong. Until you actually speak to a person or, speak to someone, you've got no idea. And that's where I think the whole, just everything is umbrellaed under that. You've got to get to know whatever before you can be a judge on anything.
I think in particular in this movie, they used Zack's dream of becoming a wrestler to point out that it was totally outside the realm of what society would expect from someone with Down syndrome. Like they would just immediately poo-poo that and steer them in another direction. Whereas Tyler saw a great benefit in, why can't he just try? You don't have to be the best wrestler in the world, but why can't he try to be a wrestler or to wrestle in general if that's what he wants to do? And I thought that was a good message too, that sometimes our dreams don't have to have the gold medal at the end of them. It's the attempting them and getting somewhere with them and experiencing them. That's the great benefit, especially when it's against society.
The journey.
The journey along the way.
Yeah, and the growth and the stuff that you learn. I mean, now that he's thrown Jake the Snake Roberts out of a ring, he may never want to wrestle again. Who knows? He's done it.
That's an achievement. I threw Jake the Snake Roberts over and out the wrestling ring.
Yeah. Another thing. What about the power of community and relationships in building one's spirit, in trying to accomplish something that seems unaccomplishable? What is that? It takes a village. We all do better with the help of people that believe in what we're going to do, or even if they don't think we can get there 100% of the way, they actually applaud and support our attempt. Building our relationships across the way. I think this film defined what constitutes actual family and community. It's not where you live, and it's not who you're born into. It's who you choose to make your family, and it's the community you choose to build. And I thought that was astounding. Like, I loved that part of it. And I might be getting too deep. I do have a tendency to jump all in on this stuff, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about films, because films in their artistry are not just to make money. Sometimes there are these gems out there that actually have powerful messages or trying to make a little bit of a difference in the world. And I think this film
there's those that are so bad that you've just got to bag the crap out of them.
Oh, they make a difference. It's not the difference they wanted to, and we'll get to those too, because I plan on covering quite a few of those. Yeah. But
this one, absolutely great one to start with. I think it was really very, very interesting. Yeah.
What do you think Tyler's character in general represented in this movie, as far as a big theme or an issue?
Struggle of living with guilt.
That's a big part of it. I think a big part of it.
Just losing everything. When he lost his brother, his whole world was gone. And what he's left with is just like it ended up with, you know, I've got to steal to just survive. I don't really want to, you know, I'm letting everyone down. Even his, like you said, his mates, you know, are just, come on, you know, you can get out of this, but he just doesn't want to. And it's
right.
yeah.
And it's the pressure of society about that. Like, what's the term for that? I know the wait a minute. Social marginalization. When, like, because he comes from poverty, he's full of grief and he's making mistakes. He's now pigeonholed.
But he's just
into how where
he's just lost everything, you know, and that's
what he's going to have a past
the
record.
whole root of the issue.
In like, he's not coming from money. He's going to have a past record, and yet his relationship with Zack actually helps pull him out of that too. Like, that doesn't matter. I'm still a good person and could do good things. It helps him see it a little bit different, because he is going to have to deal with those struggles going forward in life. Like, that's always like going to be there.
He seemed to have lost his purpose when he lost his brother, and Zack coming along gave him that sense that he was needed in some way. And I think we all feel needed at some point.
To be needed.
You need it. To feel useful, to feel like you have done something good for someone else. And Zack was that person, I think, for him. And I think Zack also needed to feel some sense of love and belonging. He didn't have a family, you know, he's grieving the loss of his family, whether that was his bio family or whether that was his family in the nursing home, you know. As much as he wanted to run away there, I think he felt like he had relationships. But then he met Tyler and he's like, hey, dude, let's be bros, you know, and he forced that relationship for the better. You know, because of who he was, right? Because of his character and because he didn't have any fear of people. He didn't have any of those hang-ups, I think, that society puts on us. He kind of they didn't stick to him. So he could just go out there and say, hey, let's be bros. Let's be friends. Cool, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, he created that connection and he just was able to keep in it, stay in it, and refuse to leave, kind of thing, because he didn't know any better, and gave Tyler that purpose. And
purpose is the word, because that's what we all need, like, to move forward. A purpose, like a reason.
A reason to get up in the morning, a reason to, you know, take care of yourself, a reason to do all kinds of things. And I think Tyler was losing that battle.
Yeah, he was getting worse and worse, like you could see. That's, I think, also another issue that kind of hit me strong. It kind of ties into Jingsu's comment in here that says, I think Eleanor was also seeing her dreams of helping people dying in the nursing home along with the residents. And I actually took that away too, because she had to actually deal with the fact of institutional care and independence is not exactly something that works together very well in our society. We don't really, as hard as we try, more places fail than succeed, unfortunately, especially with the elderly. And in also those in Zack's situation, that are able to do some things but not everything, and do need some supervision. Although we're doing better in America, I think some countries do a little bit better. It is state by state, and every situation is different. So I don't want to say that the industry itself is failing terribly, but I will say that there is not as much a focus on independence, growth, and the word purpose in their general lives as there is in just day-to-day caretaking and making sure they're safe and they're clean and they're fed. They got a roof over their head. It is a situation that we all, sometimes it's an inside-outside kind of situation. If you're in it and you see it, then you feel like, you know, there's things you can do about it. But when you're out here, it's something we don't really pay attention to that often until we have to deal with it with another family member or ourselves. And I thought it brought it to light about how it is to have a young person stuck in an old person's home, and how that old person's home was just them watching TV and doing stuff. And, you know, That wasn't the kind of life for Zack, and it was barely the kind of life for the elderly, although they were self cared for and clean and fed, and nothing terrible happening to them. For Zack, something terrible did happen. One of the attendants actually called him a retard to his face, and as if that was okay. And for somebody in an institutional care situation like that to have that kind of attitude is a little too common.
That is not okay.
There are too many horror stories.
They don't belong there.
There are too many horror stories of elderly getting beat and people, disabled being taken advantage of, and just verbal and physical abuse that goes on, because they're not. The jobs aren't always the best. You got to, wash people, clean people. And sometimes the wrong kind of people are in those situations and get resentful and taken out on the patients. And it's unfortunate, but it exists. It's not the primary focus of what I want to say. I think the primary focus of what I want to say is that it's very hard to put them in a safe situation where they're being taken care of and still give them dignity and independence at the same time. It is a fine balance it often goes one way or the other wrong. It's very hard to achieve. It's a struggle. It's really hard to get perfect. Almost impossible, I think. There are wonderful places. A lot of us will not be able to afford them. Okay, there are wonderful places. I've seen a few of them myself. For my mother-in-law and my aunt, I've seen the worst in the best situation. So that was something they only touched on lightly, only with the Zack character about how he belonged there. But I thought it was worth mentioning because it does involve institutional care and all. And Eleanor did have to deal with the fact, is she really making a difference while she's in that nursing home? If she's just following the rules, is she making their lives better, or is she just collecting a paycheck and thinking she's doing the right thing? Is it a feel-good job?
Taking a paycheck. Taking a paycheck, handing out pills, waiting for people to die. And
right.
Yeah.
Because Tyler showed her that, just making sure they're clean and fed and doing it for them is not giving them a life. It's not actually doing something for them. It's not actually helping them as much as you think it is. It's like keeping the status quo. And I think Jinsu is right that that's something she had to deal with as far as her career. I wonder what she's going to be doing now. And that's why I hate the ending, because we're not going to know.
Is Eleanor her license revoked? Yeah. Did she get her license taken away because she ran off with one of the patients? Well, not really patients.
Did she become a legislative advocate and get into politics to change the system? Did she get the administrator fired? Did she fight the board? What did she do? We don't know. Or did she just get married and have a baby?
Zack now? Has she got custodial rights for looking after Zack?
I doubt Tyler would let her. I doubt he would. I would say,
but Tyler, if he
Tyler would say, let me just channel him for a second. He would say it's their job to teach Zack to take care of himself because they're not always going to be there, and they don't want him to be a victim of the system anymore. And so they will teach him how to get a job, how to pay bills, how to take care of himself, and he will. Because they will show him, and he will become independent, because that's where Tyler's at. Tyler's he's not going back there. And if we're not here, he becomes a victim of the system again. We're older than him. We're going to die before he does. We can't just be his guardians. We need to actually just parent him into adulthood, period. And they may be, it seemed like Zack had enough fortitude that he could get there. He just crossed country to throw somebody out of a ring.
True.
And he's still alive. He doesn't have any blisters on his feet. Or he walked around in his underwear for a whole day and didn't get a snake bite or anything. He's pretty smart. He did okay. I think that's what Tyler would say. Do you guys agree? I don't think Tyler would let her get guardianship, but he would fight her tooth and nail for Zack's independence. Zack earned his independence by picking up that guy, that nasty Jake the Snake Robbery.
That nasty snake.
He picked him up over his head. He did the impossible. And he only has to look at that now to accomplish taking care of his own bills, in getting a job, in feeding himself, in making sure he knows how to do laundry. And God, please teach him how to clean a bathroom. That's all he needs. Okay.
I do like how Grace sees it, that Zack needed someone to believe in him, and Tyler needed something to believe in.
That's it. That's the sweetest part of it. You're spot on there, Grace. And thank you guys for doing your homework. This is much more fun with all of your contributions.
Yeah,
I hope you guys on panel had a good time.
I did. I had fun. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
We gotta do it again.
Yeah, me too. There is just a question here from Jen.
The rehab centers.
I wasn't going to answer that.
Yeah. Why was he there?
Yeah.
She said there was not a place to send him. Nobody would adopt him. They did not have a halfway situation where he could go. And if they put him in the only thing they had were detention centers where really bad kids were, like the unadoptable. And since he was now unadoptable, he had reached an age where nobody adopted him. Apparently his family gave him up young. So he ousted out of the orphanage at an age, and they had no place to put him. And so that's how he ended up in the nursing home.
He would do so well in like a semi-independent living situation.
Exactly.
I think a fully independent living situation, he'd be just too lonely. He needs people. He's a people person.
He needs people, but I think Eleanor in Tyler can teach him all the skills he needs to be able to really be successful in a halfway house, to where he's got a roof over his head and people to talk to and guide him a little bit, but he can function with a job and feed himself and pay bills.
He still has his own room. Yeah, he can.
Might even find a girl, get married. Who knows?
They might have. Who knows? They're in Florida now, so we never know. Maybe they have that in Florida.
Okay. Grace wants to know what the next homework is. Okay. I'm not going to be doing this every week.
No, it's not trigonometry. It's not trigonometry. Couch.
But if you guys have Netflix or any other, it is a 2019 movie. Okay. And it just blew me away recently. And I'm looking forward to doing it next month, or like within the next 6 to 8 weeks. There is 2 movies I'm doing. I already have somebody lined up to come and talk to me about one movie, which is a horror movie that came out in 2024. It's The Heretic. I don't know if you can get that anywhere yet because it was still in theaters recently, but that's definitely on the agenda. And also a Guy Ritchie film called The Gentleman. And I think that one's going to be great. I have a long list that I will be putting in the Claire Ruins viewing room of those, for those of you that want to do homework. But those 2 are the 2 coming up the soonest. Is it hot? Is it the Hot Frosty? No. A long list is good, Sleet. Yes. There's some really, really bad horror movies, good horror movies. There's some I also Sleet. Juror number 2 is on the list, by the way. Thank you for the recommendation. I just watched it. Oh my God, I gotta watch it again. Like, that's on the list, definitely. It's on Netflix right now. But there's things like The Crow, the remake of The Crow from 2024. The worst movie so far to date in the Marvel
I refuse to watch that one. The Crow.
Madam Web. Madam Web. You're not gonna watch Madam Web?
No, how about The Crow?
Oh, the new Crow. Oh, we got you. You gotta watch it just so we can tear it up.
I know.
Not Nosferatu, the new Dracula. Or there's 2 really bad movies I'm trying to get a hold of. Pool Man and Rumors. They're supposed to be the worst movies ever in the last 2 years, but I can't even find them. They're so bad. So bad. I can't even find a copy of them. I think they burned them all.
Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear, Jen. Excuse me, but Cocaine
We
Bear
watched
is
it. We
it's
did
the
that.
best movie. You can't tear it apart.
We did do it already. We actually covered that already. We first of all, we watched it 3 times in the library, like, and we did do it out
True
on
that.
YouTube already. I think it was on a one of our What the F's or something. We did
Might have been
it.
a mayhem
Yeah.
or what? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
a
What the F.
lot of fun. Yes, because
Carl-
I watched Meth Shark after that. It was like.
Fun.
Like, Rebecca can tell you about that. I had to go to the bathroom a lot because whenever you laugh a lot, then you got to pee, man. I was in the bathroom like all the that thing cracked me up. But I got to tell you, I'm looking for this year for a movie that I could watch that was worse than Moonfall, because Moonfall, the year that I watched Moonfall, it just blew everything. Like, it was the worst movie ever. Well, a complete knockoff. But yeah, on that.
Shit. I don't even know if I watched that.
Any last words, everyone? I'm going to wrap this up. I can't believe we went 2 hours. That was fun.
Yeah.
I had
Wow.
fun.
Yeah. I know. I can't. It doesn't even feel like it. It's like, where does time go?
No.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a really good movie, and there's just so much about it that you could we could be here for hours, but we're not going to be here.
We were here for hours. We were.
I mean, like, we could be here longer if you wanted to.
Too late.
Oh, Jen, we did do Blood for Honey also. I think while you were away on holiday, we did the Cocaine Bear in the Blood for Honey, because we actually did Blood for Honey #2. And we talked about it. I tore it up on What the F. Like, I was not happy.
Rocket Couch is having a request.
Do a mayhem sometime in the next 30 days, so the boob and butt twitch emojis I got today don't go to waste.
Guaranteed we'll be doing the mayhem. I'm hoping before the end of January, because I'm trying to do one a month for this year. So we'll see. I just have to get people that want to come up and talk about seriously risque subjects. Like, yeah.
Are those the emotes you've been putting? I did not realize those are boobs and butts.
I didn't either. Like, because you can't really.
I can see it now. I see it now. One looks like a face.
A boob face or a butt face?
I had a butt face.
Well, let's save that for mayhem. We'll figure it out there. All right.
Thank you, Janae.
Janae, thank you for letting me be the one to pop your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was about to say, Claire collected another one today.
Yes. It's my favorite thing to do since I've been out here on YouTube, hasn't it, Cassandra? I'm making a list. Like,
yep,
I got a list, and hopefully you'll come back for another movie. And those of you in the chat or watching later, send me your ideas. Send me what you want to go over. It's not just movies. It could be a series. It could be an anime. We're just gonna ruin it for everybody by telling them all about it. Yeah. Yes, it could be.
And Janae, I just want you to know that. Janae, I just want you to know it is cherry season down here at the moment, and they're very sweet. So I'm glad that we could pop yours today.
Oh, you're welcome.
And it was very sweet.
Yes, I do hope you come back for another one. This was fun. Thank you for your contributions. You guys made it a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody for participating in the chat. And on that, I'm going to push a button. I don't know what button I'm going to push, but I got to push a button.
Bye.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something might happen. Who the hell knows?
Oh no, what's gonna happen? Mocking media's gonna take over.
Night, guys.
Everybody. All right, we'll see you all soon.
Something may explode. Hang on.
See, could be. All right, here we go. I found the button. I love that face. Look at that face. I can't believe that that's been the face we've been talking about. It's so great. It's like
yes.
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Happiness.
Bye.
Yep. Just joy.
Bye.
Bye.